Right now, without knowing it, you are copying someone. Not their words, not their ideas, their body. The angle of their head, the rhythm of their breathing, the position of their hands. If someone near you crosses their arms, yours will drift there too. If someone laughs, the muscles in your face will begin to mirror the movement before you have consciously decided to smile. You are doing this constantly, automatically, and almost always without any awareness that it is happening at all. And the reason goes deeper than politeness, deeper than social learning, deeper than anything you were taught. It reaches into the architecture of your brain itself. In the early 1990s, a team of neuroscientists at the University of Parma in Italy were studying the motor system of macaque monkeys. They had implanted electrodes in a region of the brain that controlled hand and mouth movements, and they were recording which neurons fired when the monkey performed specific actions, reaching for food, grasping an object, placing something in its mouth. The data was exactly what they expected. Until a researcher walked into the lab, picked up a piece of food, and brought it to his own mouth. The monkey, sitting still and watching, had not moved, but its motor neurons fired anyway. Exactly the same neurons that fired when the monkey itself reached for food had fired while it simply watched someone else do it. The neuroscientist Giacomo Rizzolatti, who led the research team, understood immediately that something unprecedented had been discovered. These were not neurons that responded to the sight of food. These were not neurons that responded to any visual stimulus at all. They were motor neurons, action neurons, neurons whose entire purpose was to produce movement. And they were firing in response to watching someone else move. Rizzolatti called them mirror neurons, and their discovery set off one of the most intense debates in modern neuroscience. What do mirror neurons actually do? At their most basic, they appear to create a functional simulation of observed actions inside the observer's own motor system. When you watch someone pick up a cup, the neurons in your brain that would fire if you picked up a cup begin to activate. Not fully, not enough to make your hand move, but enough to create an internal model of the action, a felt sense of what it would be like to perform the movement yourself. You are not just seeing the action. At a neural level, you are partially doing it. This mechanism, or something functionally equivalent to it in humans, is now believed to underlie an enormous range of social behaviors. Empathy, the felt sense of what another person is experiencing, appears to rely heavily on this mirroring system. When you wince watching someone else stub their toe, it is because the pain processing regions of your brain have partially activated in response to what you observed. You did not choose to share that pain. Your nervous system shared it automatically, using the same neural machinery that mirror neurons represent. The psychologists Tanya Chartrand and Bargh at New York University studied a phenomenon they called the chameleon effect, the unconscious tendency of people to mimic the postures, mannerisms, and behaviors of whoever they are interacting with. In their experiments, participants were asked to work on a task alongside a researcher who was either rubbing their own face or shaking their foot. The participants, without being told anything about mimicry, began to rub their own faces and shake their own feet in response. When asked afterward, they reported no awareness of having done so. The mirroring happened entirely outside conscious experience. Chartrand and Bargh also found something more surprising. Participants who were mimicked, whose behaviors were intentionally copied by the researcher, rated the interaction as smoother, more comfortable, and more connected. They liked the researcher more. The unconscious copying was not just a passive reflection. It was social glue, a mechanism by which two nervous systems signal to each other, without words, without conscious intention, that they are attuned, that they are safe, that they belong to the same group. Think about what this means in evolutionary terms. For most of human history, you lived in a small group of people who depended on each other for survival. Coordinated action was the difference between a successful hunt and no food, between a defended camp and a vulnerable one, between a group that moved together through a dangerous landscape and a scattered collection of individuals. The ability to read another person's body, to anticipate their movement, to synchronize your actions with theirs without elaborate elaborate verbal negotiation was not a social nicety. It was a survival capability, and the faster and more automatically it operated, the more effective it was.
The neuroscientist Marco Iacoboni at UCLA has argued that the mirror neuron system is the neural foundation of human culture itself, because if you can simulate another person's actions inside your own motor system, you can learn from watching rather than from being explicitly taught. You can acquire skills, behaviors, emotional responses, and social norms simply by observing others perform them. Language, tool-making, ritual, art, all the things that make human culture possible all depend on the capacity to watch, to internally model, and to reproduce what you have seen.
But the mirror effect goes beyond physical movements. Research has shown that emotional states spread through social groups via the same mechanisms. The psychologist Elaine Hatfield at the University of Hawaii developed a theory she called emotional contagion, the tendency of people to automatically and continuously mimic the facial expressions, vocalizations, postures, and movements of those around them, and as a result, to converge emotionally on the same state. If someone near you is anxious, your face will begin to reflect their anxiety, and the feedback from your own facial muscles will begin to produce the feeling of anxiety in you. The expression comes first. The emotion follows. You catch feelings the way you catch a cold, through exposure, through proximity, through the invisible synchronization of bodies in shared space. This is why the mood of a room changes when certain people enter it. Why one person's calm can settle an entire group. Why one person's panic can spread through a crowd in seconds. The emotional states are not just expressed, they are transmitted body to body, face to face, through a system that evolution built not for social comfort, but for group survival.
There is something vertiginous about looking at your own behavior through this lens. Every conversation you have ever had has involved a continuous, involuntary, mutual mirroring that neither you nor the other person was fully aware of. Every social connection you have ever felt was built in part on a foundation of unconscious physical synchrony. The warmth you feel towards certain people, the ease, the sense that an interaction flowed, much of that feeling is the felt residue of two nervous systems that successfully mirrored each other.
And the people you find difficult, the interactions that feel effortful and draining, research suggests that mirroring failure, the absence of physical synchrony, of matched rhythm and reflected posture, registers in the nervous system as social friction, as a signal that this person is not aligned with you, not safe, not part of your group. You are a mirror. You have always been a mirror, and every person you have ever connected with has looked into you and seen something of themselves reflected back. Not as a metaphor, as a mechanism, as something that happens in your neurons, in your muscles, in the unconscious movement of your body toward theirs, every time you share the same space. Right now, without knowing it, you are copying someone. And whatever they are feeling, somewhere in your nervous system, you are beginning to feel it too.